Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad, and today we have a very special guest in the house. His name is Kevin Chen, and he works for the Global Blockchain Innovation Center. So welcome, Kevin. It's great to be with you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So guys, today we're actually going to be talking about the Deepbrain chain, and unfortunately, the CEO, He, couldn't make it. We had some technical difficulties in trying to establish a connection. So on behalf of everyone who's wanting to know about Deepbrain, thank you so much, He, if you're listening or if you watch this later. We genuinely appreciate your effort in trying to represent Deepbrain as the CEO, and I'm sure that we'll be able to speak to you sometime in the future. For now, we are very lucky to have Kevin here. He has a lot of experience. He knows a great deal about Deepbrain, a great deal about blockchain in general. So, Kevin, I guess one of the best things we could do to start off is, can you tell us some of the awards that Deepbrain has won, as an introduction?
Yeah, of course. So Deepbrain has won the first prize in enterprise sector of S&P 2017, Chinese man-machine dialogue evaluation. And there was more than 30 national top AI teams that attended this thing. So that's one thing. And second, we are the first, global AI computing platform driven by blockchain technology. So we're leading the front, if you will, in attempting to merge AI and cryptocurrency or blockchain technology together.
And that's quite amazing, because obviously many people would know that the blockchain space in China is very competitive. By nature, most technological industries are very competitive. So to be the forefront of that industry, to be the winner of those, and again, what I noticed in the explanation of this competition was that they were first-class entries. And so to be the winner of first-class entries is another thing that's quite exceptional. So thank you for letting us know about that. Let's talk about the GBIC. So what's the GBIC and how does that fit in with Deepbrain?
So we are a global hub of blockchain technology, providing investments, human capital, resources for development, and launching blockchain projects. And we connect West and East markets together. So a lot of the Chinese, people, if you will, they lack the information flow which we provide. And a lot of the projects in China want to get into, the Western hemisphere, which we can provide.
Excellent.
That's one thing.
So you're the connection, you're the conduit between the East and West.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Well, let's go straight to the most important question, perhaps, of the entire interview, and that is, what is Deepbrain and how does it work?
So Deepbrain is actually a chain, which called Deepbrain Chain. It's a decentralized computing platform driven by blockchain technology. The calculating demands of enterprises that will be distributed to countless mining nodes along the world. It's all scattered, right? And we're also a secure data trading platform. So both trading parties can safely trade, buy, or sell data with an ease of mind, knowing that the data is secured. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back, and we'll pull it back for the audience to the website. On the website, it talks about the title being the Artificial Intelligence Computing Platform Driven by Blockchain. So obviously the abbreviation is DBC. And then the slogan is stated as the era of artificial intelligence, and that's coming to the world. And it says that Deepbrain has it all. So can you talk a little bit about that really clear slogan and that really clear statement of it being an artificial intelligence computing platform? What is artificial intelligence, and how does that relate to blockchain?
So right now, our main focus is there's three focus, if you will. DBC actually focuses on one, lowering the cost of computing, which is artificial computing. Right now, the cost of that is ginormous. The bar is very, very high. And by integrating that with blockchain technology and mining specifically, we can lower the cost by 70%.
Wow.
And then we also can increase computing power. So we're no longer limited to one cloud service provider, or buying really expensive equipment which can be outdated, right? So by doing that, we're actually increasing or enhancing the computing power, if you will. And then there's also that data buying and selling that I mentioned previously.
I see. So just to recap that, so you're going to decrease the costs and increase the computing power by decentralizing this way.
Exactly.
That's really interesting. Okay, so if we move across to looking at Deepbrain's design, in the white paper, it explains that there are specific principles that relate to the way in which the architecture is constructed, and they are the extended, the stretching, and the privacy principles. Can you explain them to us?
So 3 parts, like you mentioned. Extended principle. In Deepbrain chain, each module should be loosely coupled, and it should be easy to add new modules to come in, and each module's own update will not need other modules integrate. So then, it basically seamlessly integrates new projects to come in. That's one. Stretching principle. Customer access to Deepbrain chain should be flexible. That's what we believe in. And if there's a large number of user network accessing a node, it will inevitably bring services breakdown to the node. So the container of the node itself should be automatically deployed. When there's a pressure of user requests, it should realize the horizontal expansion quickly. So aka moving on to spreading the cost or the computation power to other nodes.
Okay.
And then there's also the privacy aspect. All participants of DBC ecosystem, mining nodes, artificial intelligence manufacturer, data providers can get privacy protection via smart contract or other means necessary.
Right.
Yeah.
So these are the 3 value points, essentially, is the extension, stretching, and the privacy. And as we come to understand more about Deepbrain, they'll become clearer as to why they're so valuable. So thanks for explaining that. Let's move across and again now to some of the problems that we currently face in the artificial intelligence industry. Currently in the centralized system, we know that there's some things that need to be addressed and redressed, and that's what you're trying to do. So what are the things that you're trying to solve?
As I mentioned previously, it's basically lowering costs, enhancing computing power, and then there's also the buying and selling, or data sharing in general. So by integrating our platform with blockchain technology, we lower the cost by 70%. So you no longer have to actually go out and buy hardware or go to a cloud service provider and rent really expensive computing power.
Okay.
And then there's also by no longer doing that, we're actually actively working with the miners. So as long as they update their product, we will be able to get their state of the art, if you will, computing power from them, and that's how they're going to get awarded by providing that power. And then for data ownership, data privacy itself is just basically we're separating ownership and usage. So you still own your data. I get to use it, and then we DBC get to make sure that I don't copy or leak the data, right?
Right.
And then because of that, everyone will be really easy to trade their data. A lot of the values that data have couldn't be realized before will be realized now.
I see. And just to extend on that question, because you were really clear, is that in terms of rewards for the user, because we noticed that in the blockchain there are many reward systems depending on the way in which it's constructed. So is there some sort of mechanism to reward usership from the position of someone who's, applying these principles of decentralization, they're interacting, using the blockchain? Is Deepbrains constructed in any way like that?
Yes, so the miners will get rewarded by providing computing power. And then we also have many other bounty programs or other promotions that can award, interactions with the community.
Okay.
That being said, there's obviously a lot more that we can't really discuss right now,
Of
so
course.
stay tuned.
Yeah, I like that. We like hearing things that haven't yet been disclosed because, again, it shows that your company's building. So let's move across again now to a bit about the ecosystem. What's very fascinating is when I was reading through the white paper, you have multiple platforms, quite a few. Can you tell us about them? I'll just run through a few for the listeners first. So we have the AI data trading platform. We have the AI algorithm trading platform, the AI model trading platform, the AI container trading platform, and the AI application trading platform. Many different trading platforms. Why are there so many, and what is this all about?
So all those platforms actually just revolves around 3 things: AI enterprises, miners, and then the data market. So for AI enterprises, they would have to actually buy DBC in order to get the algorithm to get the computing power to lower their cost. And it's basically very, very cheap at this point. And then for miners, they get awarded by, doing what they do best. They mine.
Right.
And that's covering most of the platforms. And then there's the data providers or the data market. So the buyers, the sellers, the traders, they all go onto those markets to, ensure that their data is set up the way that they want to be sold or traded or bought. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for making that clear, because it was quite impressive when I was reading through. You had so many different platforms there. If we move across to NEO for a moment, obviously you would assume, if you know anything about me, I know quite a lot about NEO. You're utilizing a NEO smart contract, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
So can you tell us a bit more about your relationship with NEO?
So NEO is a strategic partner of ours. That's all I can say for now. We will be working with them hands-on for the next couple of years, and we're also distributing some of our computational power to the NEO blockchain. That's
okay.
it's very, very exciting times right now.
It's very exciting, and also I'll just add one, I guess, side note to that is because you're working with NEO. It's natural to assume that you're also going to be consulting with Ontology because they are providing some trust. So can we expect you to be, I guess, releasing information about how you're integrating with Ontology in the future?
Well, that's something that would be provided from Ontology. It's not something that we're at liberty to discuss,
Sure.
but we are looking for possible future collaborations, yes.
That's exciting. Okay, so let's talk about the core functions of Deepbrain. What's the core function in terms of its decentralized neural network?
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
We previously stated, the core function is just to lower cost,
Yep.
enhance computational power, and then provide data privacy and security. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I guess in the future, obviously, we can discuss things like the mining nodes and how that all works. But for now, we can focus on the basics. If we move across now to some really exciting developments we often see in really big projects, the interconnections with companies. We noticed that you have some connections with Microsoft Azure and Ali Cloud. So can you talk about those connections with us?
So prior to Deepbrain Chain, we've worked with Microsoft China and Alibaba. That's how the partnership came about. And
right.
Yeah.
Right, that's interesting because they are not small companies. They are quite significant. Is that fair to say that these are substantial?
Yes. We actually do have a couple working products that we're going to onboard onto the blockchain technology or blockchain. Yeah, DBC, Deepbrain Chain, if you will. So yeah, we can talk about that a little more later.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, as you'd know, there was a recent release of another company I'm aware of. I was lucky enough to interview Jimmy Hu from Apex, and they have substantial interconnections with partnerships like that. And as you've seen, they were very successful in their recent, release. So we'll definitely talk more about that in the future, hopefully. If we move across now to efficiency, and in terms of cost reduction, being efficient, how does Deepbrain essentially achieve these key foci of reducing the costs? And so we know about that it does that from your explanations, but how do they do those things?
So it's all about miners. Miners' main income from DBC comes from supplying computation resources,
right.
And they will DBC in return. And once the nodes are deployed, the mirror images will successfully, be onboarded, and all the AI enterprises have to do is pay a really small fee in terms of gas. That's how we reduce it.
I see.
Yeah.
That makes it really simple to understand. If we move across now to the simple question of why. Why choose Deepbrain in terms of technological advances? What sets Deepbrain apart? There are three key parts outlined in your white paper of top scientists and their teams, mode innovation, and I guess obviously bringing the forefront of new technologies to the artificial intelligence space, and also products. So can you tell us a bit about, if you compare Deepbrain to other AI blockchain initiatives, particularly in this industry that we're seeing emerge now, why would we choose Deepbrain instead of all these other ones? There's so many that are coming through.
So I think AI in blockchain technology is really, really broad term. We actually focusing on lowering cost, and we actually focus on the business side, the B2B side.
Right.
So a lot of other AI industries, they focus on consumer base, like you and I. Sure. But Deepbrain Chain, yeah. So other than just lowering costs, which we're the first one and I believe the only one to do so, we actually work with majority of the AI enterprises to provide, a platform from them. And for anybody that wants to trade data, that's a separate story. But our main focus is to cater to the AI industry.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, Kev. Let's talk about how you've done that in terms of You're establishing business relationships through the B2B. How's that going? How are you forging a great deal of partnerships at the moment in that space, since that's your main focus?
We're collaborating with quite a few projects. Let me just briefly tell you on the projects or the companies that we previously worked on.
That'd be great.
So it'll be Lenovo, Samsung, as I previously stated, Microsoft China, and also Huawei. So
Wow.
yeah, you can see we are fully capable of forming partnerships.
So they're big companies, they're significant, and obviously, I noticed from the smirk, you've got some other plans with other partnerships in the future, no doubt. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's fair to say.
Okay, I'm looking forward to hearing about those. Okay, so in terms of economic value, can you explain how it has value?
So from 2012 to 2016, there's about over 5,000 AI startups in the whole world, right? And the total financing reached about $22.4 billion.
Wow.
For just mainly small, medium and large companies to set up artificial departments. And based on that note, Deepbrain chain, all he really needs, or all we really need, is really small part of that to get started and to get the ball rolling.
Right.
And well, in a sense, we firmly believe that all the computing, the technology companies, they will turn to AI in the very near future. And we want to be in the forefront of that.
Sure.
So that's how we bring value to the whole ecosystem. Yeah.
Sure. And let's move across to the focus of China in comparison to the globe. Often we've seen from the incredible technological advancements in the blockchain space in China, much of the focus starts on China. So is that the case with Deepbrain, that you want to focus initially in the enterprises, the B2B in China first, and then move out? Or are you looking more broadly now, given that you are, as an example, you are that interconnection between the East and the West? So are you focused on global or focused first on China?
So there's two parts of DBC. One is DB, which is Deepbrain, artificial intelligence. It's an operating system that we basically developed over the course of the last couple of years, which basically includes Smart 360, which is a voice assistant that came out 6 months prior to Apple's Chinese version of Siri.
Wow.
And then we add that into a sound system, which actually we dubbed Small Z, which is, I guess in comparison, you would compare it to Amazon's Echo. But Another fun fact, we came out 6 months prior to Amazon's Echo. So our product in terms of AI operating system is very, very mature. So we already have a stable foothold in China. So we're looking to reach out now. And we actually believe that blockchain technology is by the world, for the world. And so we're not just going to focus on the Chinese market right off the bat. We're actually focusing on a global presence from the get.
So I guess we can also assume that you are also looking in the direction of other blockchains to facilitate this, not just solely NEO as one example. Is that possible, that you are looking for your technology being applied in different domains, in different ecosystems?
It's a possibility that we can explore, yes.
That's interesting. Because obviously the market's huge, as you said. So let's focus back on that in terms of dollars. If we're thinking about trying to assign some sort of value to the overall AI industry, just how big it is. How big is this in terms of dollars? Let's rehash that a moment, just to understand just how big it could be for Deepbrain. Because you mentioned before it's a small piece of the pie in the beginning, but you want to have a bigger stake as you grow. So how big could this be in terms of dollars?
Upwards of billions, maybe even trillions, right? Like it's all speculation right now, but
the potential's there.
Yeah, the potential is there. Like it's gonna be a billion, if not trillion-dollar industry, and we're gonna be right there up in it.
Amazing, and you're really leading the way as the first in the world. So let's move across now. That's a good segue into achievements. You've achieved some amazing things, and you talked about them with some of the 360 and the voice. Is there things that you can think of right now that stand out in terms of your achievement?
Yeah, so Deepbrain, the artificial intelligence operating system, is fully operational, and including Smart 360, including Small Z and Deepbrain, we actually have over 10 million user right now currently, and we're going to onboard Deepbrain onto the blockchain tech, DBC, Deepbrain chain very, very soon. And if you really think about Deepbrain, it's actually Amazon's Alexa,
Right.
but decentralized, which is very, very cool.
That is very cool.
It's the new term right now, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it.
And I think what's interesting is for that to happen, you need a pretty experienced team. So would you, just briefly, would you be able to say a little bit about just the overall experience of your team and where you would argue that would be, whether it be in engineering, whether it be in marketing? What's the big strength?
So actually, our CEO, our CMO, our CTO are all PhDs, and they have been working in the AI industry for the better part of the last decade. Wow. And they have been very, very successful, as we previously mentioned, with our partnership, with our products and whatnot. And I think that's our very, very core strength of things. Like in blockchain right now, or in crypto right now, a lot of the teams, all they have is a white paper. I'm not saying that they won't do it. Sure. I'm saying that they're inexperienced too. Whereas we have all the experience, we have the technology, we have the product.
Yes, and I think that is one of the most important things that this interview really could produce for the people and the listeners is that, again, harping back to NEO, one of the things that's outstanding as an ecosystem is that they are trying to facilitate and support companies that have real-world context. So essentially, in a nutshell, what you're saying is that you do have a real-world context now. You've built upon a framework where you can be applied and usable very soon. Is that fair to say also?
Yes. So we will be launching our testnet by end of I would say 2018, like Q3, Q4, and then we're going to integrate our data marketplace by Q4, early 2019.
I see.
And prior to that, we're onboarding, end of Q1, early Q2, we'll be onboarding Deepbrain to the chain itself for early alpha testing.
I see, and I know that you're talking in terms of years at this stage, but given how fast this market moves, that's quite a well thought out and longitudinal plan for I guess a long-term integration in to be not just the forefront, but to be applied in many regions around the world. So that's really what's exciting is that you have planned so well from the outset how this Deepbrain system is going to work. If we move across now, I guess to the mining nodes, because that's quite important with respect to the overall design. Can you tell us just a little bit about that and why it's important?
So they're all separated, and it's going to be scattered around the globe. And what's so interesting about it is that although it works with one another, it's not codependent on one another. So if one node gets hacked, we will actually just push out that node. We will still be able to function. And within a very timely fashion, we will actually replace that node that's being hacked. I think that's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. So, Kev, I wanted to ask you a bit about the current partnerships and the previous clients. We mentioned before about Samsung and Lenovo, but we haven't talked about the previous clients that you've been involved with as well. And there's quite a lot that are stated in your white paper. So can you tell us a bit about generally how important these have been to get to the point where you're at now?
So we've actually worked with over 100 manufacturers / factories in the past, and we've generated about $1 billion in terms of voice transactions because of these.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, we've worked with a lot of partners in the past, and some of the notable ones I've mentioned: Lenovo, Microsoft China, Huawei, and Samsung.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I wanted to ask you, because I note that Samsung is quite well known in Korea, being a Korean-based company. So have you also consulted with different countries directly because of these partnerships?
Right now, we're just focusing on our products, but we have talked a little bit with other governments because, obviously working with other products, we will have to, get to know the landscapes of it. Sure. But no, we don't directly contact the governments themselves now.
Well, hopefully in the future that does happen. So I guess, if we think about the plans, you've mentioned some of the things in the roadmap, but is there anything specific you know of that you can discuss that's planned for 2018 that's exciting?
We will be launching our testnet, our beta testing, right? Early Q1, it will be onboarding for alpha testing from a Deepbrain to Deepbrain chain. And then during Q3, Q4, we'll have an open beta test where the AI enterprises will come in, the miners will start mining, and by the end of the year to early 2019, we will have the data marketplace set up and integrated.
So what does that mean for the user? I mean, that's exciting that you're going to have it all set up. What will that mean for someone who wants to use Deepbrain? When will they be able to access the facility?
I'm assuming it will be right around that time as well, especially once the data market integrates onto the chain. I mean, we need data. We have data. We actually have some data available, but we need purchases as well. So that's when you guys come in.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess thinking of the user and the listener always is, let's say that someone waited until the end and they got onto Deepbrain then. What's the value in trying to jump on board the Deepbrain train right now and being involved as a participant through the token? Why is it valuable now to look at Deepbrain as an investment rather than, because obviously we can't give financial advice, but can you see that there'd be value in it now in comparison to later on? Because clearly the nature of this system is that the value grows up until the point when people can use it.
Right. So that goes on with all the other projects. Why get in before they launch their product?
Right.
It's all about the community. It's all what we have done is more than just financial value. We actually built a very core fundamental value of integrating AI technology and blockchain technology. So if you actually believe in us, then you would want to get into this community as soon as possible. Where in a financial sense, the price is at its lowest point.
Sure.
And in a firm believer's stance, the earlier the better, obviously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let's move across to social media. I'm glad you mentioned that community, because some of the best means in which to establish the sense of community is through things like Reddit or things like Telegram or things like YouTube, whichever medium suits the person. Are you really working hard to try and establish your presence in the community, particularly in the West?
Yeah, so we have a Bitcoin Talk, Reddit, Telegram, Facebook, Twitter, but our main focus point is the Telegram, where we actually have daily interactions or minute by minute or even just question by question interactions with all of our audience. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop by Telegram and ask us.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I've actually been on all the platforms and I've found you very professional overall. So guys, if you haven't been there, it's worth checking out. Deepbrain is very organized. Let's move across, I guess, to one of the most exciting questions I ask, and that is the vision component. It's very clear on your white paper, very clear on your website, but I'm keen to hear your perspective in that. Let's join two things: your vision for the future, and also let's position you in the year 2020 and you're looking back in your achievements. So what do you envisage for your company, and what do you think you can achieve by 2020?
So by 2020, we firmly believe that all the majority of the company, especially on the tech side, will start onboarding AI technology, computing costs, computing and whatnot, and we will be at the forefront of that. So it is up to us to actually grasp this very unique opportunity to, start planning and pave the way for future involvement with other tech companies. And yeah, I think it's going to be a very exciting next 3 years. I believe.
Kevin, I would agree, mate. I think it's been an absolutely fascinating interview with you. I've learned so much. Hopefully the listeners have learned a lot about Deepbrain. We know that it's a very well-established project. It has a huge potential. You've made it very clear the roadmap's moving all the way to 2019, and then the usership happens at that point. Once again, on behalf of all the listeners, thank you so much for your time. I'd like to also reiterate we thank sincerely the CEO who couldn't make it as well, He Jung, because we understand that his time is very precious and he did try and connect. So thank you very much. Is there anything you wanted to add just to finish off the interview as a final statement about this amazing technology?
Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop by Telegram where we will answer everything. And then, stay tuned for our future announcements. It's going to be very, very exciting, and we have some pretty big announcements coming up. Thank you for your time, Brad.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate it very much. Cheers. Take care.